Hi, I'm Lisa Felsky from Harris County Department of Education. Today I'm going to help you get a new lab set up. We're going to do a lab on bioremediation. So we're going to use this commercially available product, which is a bacteria mixed with a clay material. You can see it suspended here. And what it's used for is to sprinkle on an oil spill, and it takes that liquid oil and turns it to a solid fat, which is a lot easier to collect and clean up. So we're going to be testing it with mineral oil, sometimes called baby oil, vegetable oil, and motor oil. And we're going to see which one it's most effective at turning from a liquid oil into a solid fat. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to be looking at what kind of data do we want to collect. We have liquid oil and solid fat. And we're going to be collecting it in test tubes. So the first thing you're going to want to do is measure the mass of your test tube so that you can subtract it from your other data. And once you have that number, be sure to write it down in your lab notebook. Now, to set up the material in your test tube, first we're going to add 10 milliliters of deionized or distilled water. And the purpose of the water is you want to be able to know where the oil is, and the oil is always going to be floating on the top. So this is just a separation barrier. The next thing we're going to do is add 5 milliliters of our bacteria. So let me set that down so I can use 2 hands. And I'm going to stir the suspension here and then pull up 5 milliliters into this disposable plastic syringe. This is an easy way to measure a small quantity of liquid. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is add our oil. So for this one, we're going to be adding some motor oil. So first I'm going to pour a small amount into a cup just to minimize the mess. You only need 5 milliliters. So we're going to use the clean syringe to again pull up 5 milliliters worth of oil. And then just carefully put it inside your test tube and let it out slowly so that it doesn't splash. And that oil will layer on the top. And then over time, what will happen is the bacteria that are in the bottom of the test tube will interact with the oil at the top, and it will turn some of that oil into a solid fat. Okay, the next step is to repeat the process with the other 2 types of oils. You put 5 milliliters of the bacterial solution into each, and then 5 milliliters of mineral oil, 5 milliliters of the vegetable oil. Okay, so now I've shown you how to set up the lab and get started. I want to show you what your results will look like, because the biggest part of this lab is for you to figure out how to collect your own data. So here are 2 motor oil samples. Here's the one we just put together, so this is our starting material. And here's the motor oil that's been sitting in a test tube for several days. So you can see some of the fat has collected on the side of the test tube, and there's also a very thick layer of fat in between this oil on top and the water on bottom. So if you just measure the total mass of what you have to begin with and what you are ending with, you're going to have the same number. We're not going to see a change in total mass. What you do see is a change in the amount of fat that has collected. So this is what you need to pay attention to and figure out how to collect the data for. Okay, so you're going to have to set up multiple samples of these to start with, because you're going to be collecting data over days. So over about 5 days, you're going to see a pattern in the amount of fat that is formed. And so you're going to have to brush up on your math skills to figure out what kind of pattern emerges. I'd like to thank the Chevron Corporation for their support of this laboratory activity.